Everyone out there, I'm Rico Hamilton, co-founder of Both Sides of the Conversation. Welcome to Both Sides of the Conversation, our educational Thursdays. We have an amazing guest with us this week, but before we get into that, let me introduce you to my counterpart.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is John Henry, co-founder of Both Sides of the Conversation, here for Educational Thursdays. Having some difficulties, but we're here, and we're going to get a presentation. So I'll pass it back to Rico.
Well, can you give us our rules of engagement?
Just be respectful to the panelists and the hosts. Any questions you guys have, go ahead and put in the chat. The question and answer is open. We'll have a nice presentation, and we'll take questions afterwards.
All right, so this segment here is credit repair. Even though the person that we have on, she is very well versed in a lot of different things. And me reading her bio, oh my goodness, she can support you with almost anything financially that you might need some support in, especially if you're an entrepreneur. But we definitely know that our community need baby steps, and we want to support them with the baby steps so that they can actually grow and they can understand a lot of the stuff that's going on. So we don't want to give people meat when they're ready for only milk. So we want to take the steps that they need to get them there. So without further ado, I'm gonna introduce you. Her name is Leslie T. Mitchell. She is a world-renowned corporate entrepreneur, certified life coach, credit consultant, trainer, and author. I mean, and it goes on and on and on and on, right? So I don't want to I want her to tell her story and tell about herself. So without further ado, here's Leslie T. Mitchell with credit repair.
So first, let me thank you, and let me thank you, Rico and John, for just having me on the platform. I'm excited to be on both sides of the conversation. I find it, just an honor. I love what you all are doing, and I'm just excited to be on this platform with you guys, just, empowering, educating, and equipping our communities when it comes to issues that matter most, that we need to know. And so credit repair is just one of those things. And so I'm excited to talk about credit repair tonight. And I can't wait, to share the information. And so as I share the information, I kind of tell my story as I go along. And so then you'll kind of hear a little bit about me as we go through the presentation. Is that cool with everyone?
That's perfect.
Okay, cool. I'm excited. All right, everyone. So I am going to share my screen. And like I said, I will tell you, my story as we go through the information. But just give me a second to share my screen. 1 second. So let's see. Just make sure it's sharing. Let me know if you can see my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, awesome. And so tonight we're going to be talking about the power of credit. And like I said, my name is Leslie T. Mitchell. And so as we go through this, I'm just going to kind of tell you a little bit about myself and, how I got started in this industry. And I always tell people that, cash may be king because we hear that all the time, but credit is truly power. And you're going to understand that tonight. So just a little bit about myself. I've been married for the past 22 years. I'm from South Florida. I have 2 beautiful kids. I have a daughter who's actually a junior in college, so I probably need to upgrade that picture. She's a junior in college studying to be a dentist. And then I have a son who is a junior in high school, who is a competitive swimmer. I'm the CEO of Mindwork Solutions, which is a training and development consulting company that I started after I got laid off from my job. So I'm going to tell you about that story. I host a TV show called Women on Assignment. I'm a vice president in a financial education company and a board certified life coach and author, which Rico told you about me a little bit earlier. And so here's my journey, right? So what kind of happened? How did I get into this business of credit restoration? How did I get into helping people shift their 3 digits? And, I was someone who did all the right things. I did exactly what my parents told me to do. I went to school. I got good grades. I went to college. I graduated, with high honors with 2 or 3 degrees. I have a bachelor's degree and all of that. Got a good corporate job. I climbed the corporate ladder, was doing all the things that I was told to do. But in 2013, that all kind of took a change for me. I was out on medical leave, recuperating from a major surgery. And I got a notification from my job that I was being displaced. And so I don't know if you know, displaced is a fancy word, basically telling you they no longer need you. You may call it right size, restructuring, downsize, whatever name they put on it. And so at that time, I had about a 780 credit score because I was kind of fortunate. Both of my parents worked in the financial industry. So my father taught my sisters and brothers and I, the importance of having great credit. He would always tell us, pay our bills on time, don't spend more money than we make, use our credit to build assets and not liabilities. So he gave us those basics, foundations, and those principles. So I was kind of fortunate in that regard. But what my dad did not teach me was what to do when life happens to you. Because everyone on this Zoom can agree at some point in this Facebook, at some point in time, life has happened to us. Maybe you've gotten sick, you've gotten divorced, you lost your job or your hours have been decreased. Like life happened to everyone in March of this year with the whole COVID-19. And so when life happened to me, when I got displaced from my job, my credit score took a hit. My score went from, a 780 to like a 564 in just 3 short months. And so I had to try to figure out, what to do with my credit. And, I understood the having the importance of credit, but when life happened, sometimes we can feel defeated. We can feel deflated. We can feel like there's no way out, like you don't have, any way to climb out of that thing. And so I'm going to share with you, I'm going to educate you tonight, give you some, education around some myths around credit, how your credit score is calculated. But then I'm going to share with you a program that I actually used and partner with to help me get out of that 564 and to get my buying power back when it came to my credit. And so I always kind of like to set the stage and talk about some things that maybe you did not know. And so right now, about 61 million people have a 599 credit score or lower. And that number is climbing every single day. More than half of Americans, they don't even know their credit score. I talk to people every single day, and the first question I ask them is, hey, what's your credit score? And people begin to hem and haw. They're like, I'm not really sure, around about. And if we're being honest about it, sometimes it's because we are afraid to look at that score. We don't want to see that score. We think like if we don't look at it, like it just doesn't exist, but it does. Today, your score is like a vital sign. Somebody is constantly looking at your credit score at all times. It can impact your insurance premiums, your interest rates. It determines so many things that we do today. You can be denied the ability to rent, to purchase your home, to get a credit card, or even get employed. About 86% of employers, they actually pull credit checks. And so your credit is a true determining factor. Sometimes if you can get a job. Also, when I worked in the corporate world, it's also like if you may not get a promotion because of your credit as well, because they don't tell you, but sometimes they look at your credit to even give you a promotion. Over the course of your lifetime, when you have less than perfect credit, you're going to be spending more money. So you may be spending between $200,000 up to $1 million more on things. Why? Because because of your credit score. And then 4 and 5 credit reports really have errors on them, causing people to have a lower score. And so often we don't take the time to really look at our credit until it's too late. And so tonight we're going to talk to you about how you can be proactive instead of being reactive. And so when you need to use your credit, it's not going to be an issue. And so here's some myths around credit, because we always hear what they say. Like I love when people say they say, and I'm like, who is they, right? So I want to help you guys understand some myths around credit so you can be educated. You don't have to listen to what they said, right? And so one of the biggest myths is that credit agencies are empowered with some type of governmental authority. And a lot of times we hear people call credit agencies credit bureaus. So when we hear that word bureau, we automatically associate that with the government, okay? But I'm here to tell you that credit agencies have no legal authority at all. They're just privately held companies in the business of selling your credit information, okay? Just to show you how much authority they have, you could open up your own credit agency if you choose to right this minute. So that lets you know. Number 2, this is probably one of the biggest myths of all, is that credit agencies are required to keep negative items on your credit for a magical 7 to 10 years. So often I hear people say, you know what, I'm just going to wait till it fall off. I have another year before it comes off my credit, and so why are you going to put your life on hold for 7 to 10 years? And so the truth of the matter is that there's no law that says anything has to be reported on your credit. actually the law requires that items are automatically removed if they are not, 100% accurate. And we're going to talk about that. The information on your credit report cannot be altered or cannot be changed. A lot of people think like, you want to take the moral high ground, well, I really do owe the money. It really is my bankruptcy. I really was late and all those things, but that's really not what it's all about. And so the opposite is true under what we call the Fair Credit Reporting Act. And so both federal and state laws require that items be removed from your credit report if they are not 100% accurate, or here's the key, cannot be verified in a timely manner. And that's just in about 30 days or so. Myth number 4 is that paying a past due debt removes it from your credit report. When I'm talking to people constantly, on a daily basis, they say, well, you know what? I'm just gonna, make a payment arrangement. I'm just gonna pay that collection off. I'm just gonna pay it off. But I want you to understand, when you pay a past due debt, it doesn't change or erase the fact that at one time you simply weren't paying as agreed. Not only that, especially when you're paying collections, it stays on your credit report as paid collection, and it stays in the negative column. And so it doesn't do anything really for your credit. But the thing you need to understand is that this information can be changed and corrected on your credit report. Now, myth number 5 is that inquiries are not derogatory, or they would not affect your credit standing. So we have 2 types of inquiries. You have a hard inquiry and we have a soft inquiry, all right? And so a soft inquiry is gonna be like if you've ever received like a pre-approval in the mail. That's going to be a soft inquiry. A soft inquiry would also be like getting your utilities, or if they run your credit for your utilities, getting a cell phone. Those are considered like soft inquiries. A hard inquiry is going to be anything that you initiate, like you're trying to purchase a car, you're trying to get approved for a home, you're trying to get a credit card, right? And so the thing that you have to understand here is that you have to be careful when you are allowing people to pull your credit, especially if you have, a low score. Why is that? Because it only is going to bring your score down even lower. And so 1 or 2 inquiries are not bad, but when you do it over and over again, it really begins to tell a story that you are desperate for credit. So eventually somebody's going to give you a credit card, but you're going to pay some like ridiculous amount in interest, like 28%, 32%, because I've seen those interest rates for a lot of people paying that ridiculous interest rate. So you got to be, smart about that. Now let's talk about, how your credit score is calculated, okay? Because this score, determines so many things. It's like your financial report card, all right? It lets people know if they can take a risk on giving you credit. And so your score goes from 300 up to 850. And so this is how it's calculated, because a lot of people don't understand how their score is actually calculated. Right. And so the largest percent of your score, 35%, is your payment history. And so we're talking about things that are being reported on your credit. So we're talking about a mortgage payment, a car payment, student loans, credit cards, personal loans. Those are things that are being reported on your credit. So you want to make sure you pay them on time or before time. If you pay them late, right? If you pay them late, your score could drop anywhere from 30 to like 60 or 70 points. And so you got to make sure you're paying those things on or before time. The next percentage of your score, as you can see, 30% is based on the amount that you owe. And this is generally going to be when we're talking about your credit cards. So if you have credit cards, you have to make sure that you are not, your limit, you're not spending more than 30% of your limit. So let's say, for example, you have a credit card and it has $1,000 limit, all right? And, throughout the pandemic, we've been cooped up. And so you decide to go and splurge and treat yourself, and you spend your entire $1,000, okay? Now, when you get your bill, you cannot just make that little payment of $75. You need to pay your credit card bill down to at least $300. So whatever that limit, make sure you don't go over 30% of that. 15% is based on the length of your credit history. So how long have you been able to establish credit? Which is why it's very important that when you have credit cards and you decide to get yourself out of debt and pay them off, do not close your credit cards, because when you close them, your credit score is going to go in the downward direction. And so a lot of times people are like, what happened? Because you wiped out your credit history. All right, 10% is going to be on new credit, and new credit is going to be anything that you have acquired within the past 2 years. And so you have to also make sure you're using your credit. And then the last 10% is going to be on the types of credit that we have. And we all have two types of credit. We have term and we have revolving. So term is going to be like your mortgage payment, your car payment. You know exactly how many months you have to pay something off. Revolving is going to be like your credit card debt. And so I always encourage people, pull out your phone, take a picture of this screen or swipe the screen or whatever, because you need to understand what makes up your score so you can be able to manipulate your score and leverage your credit score. Now, here's some examples when it comes to credit, because a lot of times, I want you to understand how your credit score impacts things that you pay for on a daily basis. A lot of people don't even know that your car insurance is based on your credit. Sometimes people think it's based on how many accidents you had. That does kind of have a factor, but the main thing is they pull your credit. And so this is just an example of having a low score. So here's another thing. People say, they have a 620, 640, and they think that's excellent credit, but it's really considered poor credit still. Even though it's close to 850, it's still not considered excellent credit. So that's considered a low score. And so just look at the difference between having a low score versus having a high score. A low score is 620 to 675. That's considered low. High score is 740. So just imagine, this is an example of auto insurance, the difference that you're paying. Close to $300 for the low score versus somebody who has a high score. They're paying, less than $100. So if you think about car insurance, right, that's about $200 a month you're spending extra. Or the person who has a high score, they're saving about $2,400 per year on their car insurance. Another example would be buying a home. So often, people, today, the credit scores are totally changed when it comes to buying a home. You used to could get a home with a 540 credit score, 560 credit score, but nowadays for an FHA loan, they want you to have a 640, 660. There are still some programs out there that you can kind of have low scores, but you're going to pay more in interest, which is the main thing I want you to understand. And so let's just use this as an example and say you're purchasing a home, it's around $100,000, okay? And you have a credit score between 620 and 675. So your payment is going to be around $665. And you're probably saying, well, that's great. I can afford that. That's doable because that's probably, less than paying rent, right? And your interest rate is about 7%. And so now you have a high score, right? You have a 740 or higher. You're considered having, good credit now. So your interest rate is at 4%. So your payment is like $470 something, not even $500. But the thing I want you to see is how much money you are saving. And so when you have excellent credit, this person would be saving close to $67,000 over the life of their loan, right? Because you pay a mortgage generally for about 30 years. And so this is why it's so key that you understand, how credit works and how it can either hurt you or help you when you buy a home. And now interest rates are extremely low. They're like 2.5 and 2.1%, but you have to have that excellent credit score. So I want you to see that. Sometimes it's shocking when you say that numbers because it looks easy for that 665, but over 30 years, right, you're spending $67,000 more than you need to. That's the key. Now we'll look at even buying a car, okay? Buying a car, let's say you can, find a car for about $25,000. You have a low score. These days, back in the day, you couldn't get a car with not a brand new car with a 620 and stuff like that, but you can now. But guess what they're going to ask you to do? Put down a hefty deposit, right? Put down $5,000, $2,500, $7,000. I know people put down $10,000, $20,000 on a car. And then you have a high score, you're looking at a payment around $448. So I always tell people, those commercials when they say, zero down, sign and drive, they're talking to the people who have excellent credit. They're not talking to someone who has a 550 credit score. Trust me, I know. I've gone to the car dealership and sign and drive because when you have an 800 credit score, they don't ask you for your pay stubs. They don't ask you for anything but your driver license and your insurance, and you walk out the dealership. And so this is the thing that you have to understand when we're talking about credit, the power of credit. Now, the good news is that you can get your score back on track. You can restore your score. You don't have to wait 7 to 10 years for negative items to fall off your credit. And so I told you we have a Fair Credit Reporting Act. So this act was signed in 1971, and this basically protects you and I from the intrusion of credit agencies into our personal business, because it's no one's business if you have a bankruptcy, a foreclosure, a repossession. And so it enables you to dispute and investigate any negative item on your credit at any given time. No longer do you have to wait for something to fall off your credit. And so many items can be challenged. Like I said, it could be a bankruptcy, a foreclosure, a repossession, a tax lien, defaulted on student loans, medical bills, collections, child support, late payments. Anything can legally be challenged and removed from your credit, leveraging this particular law, right? And so how do we do that? How did I get my credit score from a 564 to a 780? Well, like I said, I partner with a phenomenal company. They have a system in place that helped me see an increase in my credit score within just 45 days. And so the company I partner with, we are a financial education company. You know, credit restoration is our flagship because that's what we know people need the most of. But we give you a comprehensive, complete financial package. So when you enroll, when you partner with us in this program, we're going to give you a budgeting tool because we need to figure out where our money is going. Sometimes we don't want to hear the word budget. And so I like to call it a little spending plan. Oftentimes, you know, you swiping that card for $5, $2, $7. We don't account for those transactions. And if you add them up, sometimes it could be $300 or $400 if you spent that you didn't even account for. You know, our credit repair program, how does it work? Well, basically, our legal team will do a complete analysis of all three of your credit profiles with Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. And then we're going to go after everything negative on your credit. So it doesn't matter if you have 2 negative items or if you have 50. Everything will get disputed at the exact same time with all 3 credit agencies at the exact same time. So by us doing this, what does that do for you? It puts you in a position where you start to see results in the program within 45 to 60 days of using our services. Now, while you're in our credit repair program, we're also going to help you build your credit. I'm going to talk to you about some credit building products that we have, because having no credit is like having bad credit, all right? Or having to be able to rebuild your credit. We have a credit attorney on staff that's going to help you if you get those harassing phone calls from debt collectors. Y'all know how we do, you know, you saying that it's not you, you're not home, and, you know, they have the wrong number or you don't want to answer that call. And so, you know, you have rights when it comes to collections. A lot of people just don't know that you do, but you have rights when it comes to collections, because by law, you never made the agreement out with the collection company. So you legally, you don't owe them the money. Now, we have a credit monitoring program. And so this program is really key because a lot of times we go to Credit Karma to look at our credit score because it's free. But Credit Karma is not your real credit score. It's more like a consumer advantage score, which is why a lot of times people are really shocked. They go to Credit Karma and it says you have a 680 or 690. You're like, yes, I'm going to get my new car. You all, you know, you ready. You get to the dealership and they're like, you have a 640 or a 620. You're like, what? Right, because Credit Karma is not your real credit score. And so in our program, we're going to give you your true TransUnion FICO score that you can monitor, and you know exactly where you fall in the credit world, not just your FICO score. We're going to give you your auto index score. We're going to give you your employment hiring score, and we also give you your insurance score. And so you're going to have all your different scores so you can be armed and equipped. And then we have a debt payoff system. We all have debt, and sometimes we don't know how we're going to get ourselves out of debt. We just going from paycheck to paycheck. But down in our program, we have where you can learn how to get yourself out of debt, so you don't have to go to a debt consolidation, right? Why are you going to pay them to do something that you can basically do, and it also ruins your credit when you go to debt consolidation? Financial lockbox, which is like a virtual safety deposit box. You can put all your key important financial information in, so you have it right at your fingertips. Identity monitoring. Identity theft is the #1 crime in this country. #1 crime in this country. Every 2 seconds, someone's identity is stolen. And so we've partnered with an amazing company, InfoArmor, who's going to offer you, and they're going to protect your identity, not just your social, but they will also protect you through your social media sites, through the dark web, because there's so much cyber identity theft that's happening that people are not even aware of. Net worth. We all saw that Tyler Perry, you know, kudos to Tyler Perry. He's worth $1 billion now. And so congratulations to Tyler Perry for that. But what does that do for you and your family? Are you beginning to understand how to build net worth and leave a legacy for you and your family? a savings goal to be able to save for that new home, for that new car, whatever it is that you're trying to save. This is a program that can hold you accountable, because we all know we have good intentions, right? I was guilty of this. We had good intentions of putting money in our savings account, but sometimes that money just never made it over there. And so you got to begin to have those habits of saving money, a will and a trust. Now, this is so key because a lot of times we don't have these key important documents. God forbid something happens to us. We've seen celebrity after celebrity, not have a will and trust in place. And so what happens with their estate? Well, then it goes to probate and all of that. And then their family have to try to get the money. And then we have a YFL, which is our Youth Financial Literacy Foundation, where we do educate young people between the ages of 8 and 18 on the matters of personal finance. Why? Because we need to make sure the next generation does not repeat our mistakes. And that's really, really what it's all about. And so the great thing about our program is that you're going to be able to monitor your progress. We have a portal that's available 24/7. You can be able to monitor it. And so you're going to have 24/7 access to see what's happening with your credit at all times. These are two of our phenomenal credit building products. I told you I was going to talk to you about how you can also build your credit. And so rent is the largest expense that most people have. But right now, today, you don't get credit for paying your rent on time like you do somebody who has a mortgage. But now we have a program where we can put up to 2 years of your past on-time rental payments on your credit report as a positive trade line. That does wonders for your credit. Number one, it's going to be a new trade line on your credit. It's going to show that you have that you're able to pay rent on time. It's also going to help you increase your credit score. I had a client put that on their credit and their score went up 99 points just by adding their rent on their credit. So when you go to get that mortgage, it's going to look favorable to an underwriter showing you already have positive rental history. We also have our own secure credit card. And so a secure credit card basically is that you put your own money on a card and you use it like a regular credit card. In our program, we do not do a credit check for the secure credit card. So everyone is approved for the credit card. So these are just some great ways that you can begin to build your credit. And then here's just something, documentation beats conversation every single day. And so here is some of what our customers are saying about our program. We have this gentleman, Roderick from Texas. I just love his story. Basically, when he signed up in our program, he had 11 items within 2 months removed from his credit report. 11 items within 2 months removed from his credit report. He had several late mortgage payments, but we were able to get those to reflect paid as agreed, always on time. As a result, this is what happened for him. He was able to refinance his home and save over $750 a month. Because why? He was able to get a better interest rate. His interest rate went from 14% all the way down to like 5.5%. And so the thing that he says is that, thanks to our company, he's able now to breathe again after 7 years. Because I told you sometimes when you have less than perfect credit, you can have anxiety, you can have, be confused, you can, be afraid, you can, really know what to do, depressed, like it's like a thing that's weighing on you, but you don't have to have that on your back anymore. You can get your credit back on track. And so for our program, I'm just going to tell you, I am going to give you guys a free gift. I'm going to do something special for those of you who want to, take advantage of the program. And so to take advantage, basically it's $188 to get started in our program. And then it's $89 per month. With the $89 per month, there is no contract, there are no hidden fees. You can cancel the program at any given time. Keep in mind, you're going to get those results within 45 to 60 days. Our average client is on our program anywhere between 3 to 7 months. It kind of just depends on what's on your credit and how high you're trying to get your credit score to go. But when you enroll in our program, you're not just going to get credit restoration. You are going to get credit monitoring. You're going to have access to a credit attorney. You're going to get identity theft protection. You're going to be able to do a will and a trust. If you go to an attorney, you're going to be spending a couple $1,000s for a will and a living trust, right? So you're going to get all those services that I spoke about. And if we think about $89, right? $89 for a month. That's about less than $3 a day. That's about $2.90 per day. And we all know we could spend $3 on foolishness. Right? We can spend out $3 on just whatever. If you're a coffee drinker, your average coffee is $5, right? If you're going to, the Starbucks and all those places. So we have to begin to shift our thinking because we don't have a problem spending $5 on coffee. And what if you bought coffee every day. I'm gonna give you the weekend off, right? And you bought coffee and you spent, $25 a week buying coffee, and every day for the month, that's $100 you just spent on coffee. But people will see $89 and be like, I don't have it. Yes, you do. You just have to reallocate your money. We have to start shifting our thinking, our mindset when it comes to our credit, when it comes to your credit and your finances. And so here's my free gift to you, because I told you I was going to do something special for you. And so for those of you who do want to get in the program, you can contact me, and I'm going to do something special for those of you who would like to start the credit repair program. So don't let money be an issue, because it will always be an issue. But I do want to, leave you all with a free gift from me. And so you can get my free 8-step guide on how to build and maintain excellent credit. All you have to do is text Mentor 101 to 22828, and you will be able to download my free ebook. Also, if you are interested in the credit repair program, you can contact my business partner, Miss Savannah Milhoy. Her number is on the screen, 510-830-5686. Or you can contact myself at 954-309-1989. And so, we can open it up for questions. I'm going to turn it back over to John or Rico. I'm not sure which one I'm throwing it back over to. But again, if you have any questions, I would love to answer your questions. If they're in the chat, I would love to answer your questions. And so I'm going to just stop sharing my screen. Bam. So there you go.
That was
All
so.
right.
That was amazing. That was amazing.
Oh, thank you.
So we have some people in the chat. Sorry we couldn't go live. We had a bunch of issues today with the Zoom live, but you that are on the Zoom link here, I see people in the attendee. If you have any questions, please raise your hand. We could pull you up, or you could put your question in the chats. I don't see anybody with any questions.
Well, I have a question. Okay, so we work with super underserved folks in San Francisco. A lot of them, that $80 might be a little for them, because we working with super high risk folks who are in poverty. So for them, what would be your recommendation if they don't have that type of money, but they really seem pretty enthused about getting their credit fixed or getting some type of support with their credit?
And so I would, one of the recommendations I would say is, first they need to pull their credit, right? So they would know what's actually on their credit. And so you can go to annualcreditreport.com and you can pull your credit. It will not hurt your score. It'll give you all 3 credit, agencies. It'll give you all 3 reports. It will not give you your score, but it at least will allow you to know what's actually on your credit. Okay, and then they can kind of see, what is on their credit. There may be some things that it's not even theirs, and maybe, some things of that nature. And then a second thing, a key tip would be, if you do want to start a dispute process, you can work on your credit on your own. You can do that. It's a little tedious, so you have to be committed to the process. And so some things, one recommendation would be, first, pull your credit. Second thing, never dispute anything online. Don't go online to the credit agencies and dispute anything, because it just seems easier because we are so used to doing everything online. But when you dispute online, you actually waive your rights when it comes to the Fair Credit Reporting Act. And so they don't have to do the true investigation technically when you go online. So don't dispute anything online. You can write a letter. You can Google credit repair letters out there for free. There are some that are really good. A 529 letter. You can Google some credit repair letters. So if you want to do it yourself, you just have to make sure you stay on top of it, and do your due diligence basically, and stay on top of it. Now you can definitely get my e-guide. I kind of give you some tips and tricks in that on what you can do. So that can help you. That'll be able to help you kind of start the process if you can't afford really to get in the program. we do have a customer referral program. So, if you want to sacrifice and you do get in for, $89, because I will do something special for individuals who say they've seen this, on both sides of the conversation. I'll help them with not having maybe to pay the enrollment fee and stuff like that. When you refer up to 5 people to our program, then we will do your credit for free. So that could be a way, as well to get started in the program. Or, you can, do some of those things through Google.
So what kind of advice would you give to somebody like right now? We know it's 40 million people out of work who's struggling to make income, but trying to keep their credit score afloat. What are some tips or you could advise the people who are maybe having struggle in paying their balance on their credit card? What are some of the things that they could do to maneuver in these times?
So there are some things definitely they can do. One, just contact your credit card company, contact your loan company, because there are a lot of programs out there now because of the COVID-19. And so a lot of times we wait and we just don't do anything. We just, just let it go. Like, I can't pay it, oh well. And so then that begins to hurt your credit. But there are several programs, every pretty much major credit card, car company, mortgage company, they all have programs now because of COVID. So the first thing I would tell people to do is to pick up your phone and call them and let them know that, you've been impacted by COVID and you need to know what they can do. A lot of companies are waiving payments for months at a time. Their, mortgage companies are putting payments to the back end, like their car putting things to the back end of your loan, because they understand people are, are strapped right now. But you have to make the first effort. They don't know that you are in a situation unless you reach out to them. So the number one thing I would say will be to reach out to those companies and let them know of your situation. Don't just let it go to the wayside, because you're going to look up and then your credit is going to be in a situation. So don't even let it get to that point. Just call them up and let them know your situation.
Cool. I think that was some good information. And then what do you feel about credit repair lawyers? Can you give any advice recommending if someone has had problems, have been impacted by credit? I know there's a lot of credit legal lawyers. Do you think that's a route for people to go, or do you just try to dispute and fight yourself?
I mean, it kind of depends on what the situation is. So there are a lot of, programs and a lot of, lawyers, a lot of, you don't necessarily have to always go to a credit repair lawyer. There are a lot of credit repair programs that can help the individual. Of course, I partner with this program because I saw what it did for my credit and thousands of other people we've been able to help. And so it's not always necessarily that you have to go to an attorney, because that costs, right? That's also another fee. So there are some other ways that you can do it without having to spend that type of money to go to an attorney.
Okay.
To get your credit repaired.
Okay, and then we have a question and answer. Someone, Jamila put, how would your program benefit someone with a 700 credit score?
That's a good question, Jamila. So the goal would be to get an 850 credit score, right? So it depends on what is on your credit. So if you don't have any negative items currently on your credit, I don't know if you have negative items on your credit. So if you don't have any derogatory items on your credit that we need to work to get off of your credit, then we would begin to work on building your credit and then protecting your credit. So the program could help you protect your credit, and then it could also help you build your credit so you can get above that 700 threshold. But it just really kind of depends on what's going to be on your credit. If we need to clean your credit up, you're at a 700 and you're stuck, sorry. Or, do we need to look at your credit cards, what type of limits you're having? So we kind of give you that education at the same time. Sorry, this is like my third webinar, y'all. Okay.
All right. Does anybody else have any questions? I don't see any more questions from anybody. I'm trying to look through the question and answer. I don't see any questions. You see anything in the chat, Rico?
No.
Nope. Well, if you don't have any more questions, Rico, I think we're going to go ahead and call it a wrap. Thank you, Leslie, for coming on. Could you please put out your information or put it in the chat as well for people to reach out to you, tell them how to get a hold of you through phone, email, website, or any of that information?
Yep. So my website is leslietmitchell.com. You can follow me on Instagram at Leslie T. Mitchell. My number, I'm going to put it in the chat for you. You can contact me at 954-309-1989. I'm also on Facebook at Leslie Thomas Mitchell. So Instagram, I'm at Leslie T. Mitchell. Facebook, I'm Leslie Thomas Mitchell. And my website is leslietmitchell.com. And then I put my number in the chat, 954-309-1989.
All right, y'all. That's